During the 9 years of the National-led government, the dairy industry has been on a wild rollercoaster ride, and one family wants it to slow down. From the highs of record milk payouts to the utter lows of the price crash and melamine and botulism and water, of course, dairy has hardly left the headlines during that time. As part of RNZ's election year series, Is This the Brighter Future?, assessing National's record in government, our reporter Ian Telfer paid a visit to a dairying farm in Southland, a dairying family in Southland, not too far as the crow flies from where Bill English grew up.
On the Matheson farm, the milking shed is $1 million operation.
So our cows are all, they haven't got collars on, but they've got electronic tags.
This is Colac Bay farmer Ewan Matheson.
So that's, like this, the milking data this morning. That's cow's number, that's the group that she's in, that's the stall that she was milked in, birth ID, the time she was milked.
There are other signs of high-tech investments, some unusual. The roof of the milking shed now powers the farm.
These are the control units, yeah. So the roof's all covered. There's 120 kilowatts of generation happening up there, and we have a buy-sell contract with Meridian, so a fixed buy price and a fixed sale price.
So you've put solar cells,
yep,
covered the roof?
Yes, we have.
Why'd you do that?
Why? Because based on when we had a really good payout, one of those years, based on the return, it was probably one of the sharpest investments we could make. They've done about a bit over 33%. So they've paid for the unit, the system has paid for itself in 3 years.
But back in their lounge, the Mathesons tell me getting here's not been easy. It all started when they bought the neighbour's property 9 years ago and switched fully into dairy.
So we converted on at a time when the milk price was quite high, and then had 2 years of quite low or pretty average milk prices. So the first 2 or 3 years were pretty challenging, to be fair.
2008, the very year National came to power. Dairy conversions were in full swing. And Ewan's wife Diane says it was very different from sheep farming.
I have to say that first 2 years were hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of adjusting. And then when, of course, the payout had a wee effect,
Were there some hard words? You got me into this mess.
It was a wee bit tricky.
No, but your heart must have sank a bit, because you had chosen that, as it turned out, not a good time.
Massive change. Massive.
Yeah.
It was also the start of a run of major food safety scares and scandals. In 2008, Chinese children died from melamine contamination. In 2013, Fonterra had to run a global recall of infant formula after a false alert for botulism. And 2 years later, a major blackmail threat involving 1080 poison. The Mathesons say they remember it all vividly.
When it involves children, I think that's when it really hits people.
Yeah.
Babies. Anybody, but whenever there's children, it's, I think it's
even worse.
Even worse. I think people, really grab to that.
And as dairy farmers, do you watch that stuff like from afar as well, or does it feel personal?
It's
personal.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Well, at the end of the day, Ian, we're trying to what we're doing at our end of the equation is we're doing the best we possibly can to make sure that we're providing the best product we possibly can, and we would hope that everyone along the chain is doing the same. But as it turned out with the melamine, in China they weren't. So it's a real concern.
Then the saviour. Fonterra's milk payouts boomed for 5 years in a row to reach a record of $8.40. Ewan and Diane's daughter Melissa says on the farm there were smiles all round.
I remember coming home one day and saying to Dad, how's it going? He said, the payout's amazing, the grass is growing and the cows look effing great. And that was so that pretty much sums up how that was.
But all that changed in 2014. It crashed and milk payouts halved in a year. 440 in 2014-15, 390 in 2015-16. Do you remember that?
I won't say what happened when I came home that time.
Ewan says the impact on the rural economy and its towns and people has been dramatic, with people being laid off everywhere. If Ewan Matheson had one wish, it would be to smooth out the roller coaster.
Things have probably balanced out again now, but you would hope that our milk price remains reasonably consistent rather than having the huge variation. And the same, I suppose, for lamb and so forth as well. That if you can get a more consistent price, it's far better for our rural economies than this great variation price.
The boom and the bust.
Yeah. Not just for farming, but for all right across rural communities, really. Yeah.
Ian Telfer, the reporter.